Back at it again, and we've got one here with JP, Jordan Peterson, talking about Bill. Yeah. What is Bill now? Is he like the fourth richest or third? I think Elon's number one. Bezos is two. I think Bill is three. I mean, I guess when you got that kind of money, I mean, where you're ranked on that list doesn't really matter too much. Although I think Elon's probably going to drop down here pretty soon because I want to say the whole Twitter situation is supposed to get started, like the actual trial or whatever is supposed to be getting started here soon, unless they come to some kind of settlement, which I don't know. From everything that I've seen, I think he's actually going to lose. So if I'm him, I'm going to try to come to some kind of settlement. Like, hey, I'll purchase it for, 25 million or something, which I think would actually really be beneficial for Twitter and just the overall social media atmosphere. Having something that's that popular and that mainstream be completely open to free speech, I think that would be a very, very wonderful thing. Obviously, you got places like True Social and stuff like that, are free speech, but having a mainstream platform like Twitter, I think would be really, really great as well. But anyway, let's dive into this video here with JP talking about Bill Gates and apparently his nasty plan. Let's dive in.
To what end, Michael? Like I read about, the notion that we need to, turn to plant-based foods and insect-based protein in the future, and that, meat production and all the cow methane are contributing to the degradation of the environment. But like, what do you see this as a plan, or just as a part of the globalist utopian, ideologically blind stupidity? Because farmers do pollute. There is runoff from fertilizer. It does cause algal blooms, for example, in the water. And these are problems. I don't think they're insurmountable problems. But you're pointing to something that's more malevolent and deeper and programmatic. And we don't want to go there without questioning that presumption. I always think if you can explain it with stupidity, you don't have to explain it with malevolence.
Well, as you know, be careful with that one, because sometimes we do have to go to malevolence in this
I know we do, yeah.
And I watch your show enough to know you know exactly why this is happening. And let's talk about this. If the Dutch farmers, let's take this as a premise, are the most efficient in the world, or let's just say they're the second most efficient, why would you knock them out of the saddle to get somebody else to produce the food? Where, Indian farmers? Who's going to produce this food in a much less efficient way that would create even more pollution? This is clearly about control. Also,
I said the same thing about the oil crisis, or oil situation, right? We're shutting down our own production to run to the Middle East for theirs. What sense does that make? Like, even if we're on a level playing field in terms of, pollution, right? How are you getting the oil here? I would assume that requires a bit more pollution transporting it all here, getting it from wherever they get it from over there to, it's just, it doesn't make any sense, right? And then you have all of these people touting, oh, electric cars, and yet where does that electricity come from? The power plant. How does the power plant generate your electricity? Exactly. How are your cars? How are also, and I'll leave it at this. Also, how are all of these electric cars put together? Do they just fall out of the sky, just already assembled and, zero pollution? I'm just asking.
So there's something that you never hear in any press that I've heard in the United States is the tri-state city. Tri-state city is this smart city that they're proposing to build between the tri-states are Belgium, Netherlands, and Germany. So this mega city basically that would take up all this farmland in that area, and which would bring huge amounts of more people into this area, right? So the tri-state city is something you don't hear much about, but that's another part of this plan. There was a fire about maybe 10 days ago. I went to it right after the next morning, and it's at a picnic distribution center, which is there was an investment, $600 million into this picnic food distribution center from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, coincidentally, and it burned down, right? And so, that brought a little, raised some eyebrows. Why did that thing just burn down? There's many of them. There's others in Netherlands that are growing. But the bottom line is the Bill Gates is buying up farmland, as you know, all over the place.
I know. He is the biggest private landowner in the United States right now, and the land that he's buying up, he's taking out of food production. And it seems to be because he's obsessed about meat production, at least in part, doesn't believe that that's part of a sustainable future.
I've seen some absolutely crazy videos of crops being destroyed. Now, listen, y'all know I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't buy into a bunch of conspiracy theories. I know I make the joke, several times that, the difference between a conspiracy theory is 6 to 7 months. And yes, we've seen that play out. But for the most part, a lot of the things that I see, like, I don't really buy into them. And there have been videos that I've been coming across of crops being destroyed. And, of course, people, oh my goodness, the government, they're coming in and they're paying these farmers to destroy these crops. And I'm like, I mean, maybe, but I'm not seeing it in like vast numbers. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like it would be out there more if it was really happening. But I don't know. Maybe. I mean, you just heard Jordan Peterson. Bill Gates is buying farmland and taking it out of food production. So I don't know. Could be, because that's what I've been hearing. Have y'all heard the same thing? Have you guys seen some of those videos as well? Talk to me.
And so, but I do share your skepticism. It's the same thing happens on the bloody energy front. It's like, well, Australia won't build coal-generating electrical plants, but they'll ship their bloody coal to China, where they're going to build much dirtier plants. And the same thing applies to Canada. If we shut down our energy industry, which our bloody, insane, narcissistic, delusional, traitorous prime minister happens to think is a good idea and seems...
When is Canada's next election? I know we have some Canadians in here watching. Let me know, because I've seen y'all talk in the comment section several times. When is your next election? Because yeah, I really feel bad for y'all.
Be working as hard as he can to manage. All that's going to happen is that we're going to cede the ground to people like Putin, who we also turned into a radical enemy with his hands on the control pump for Europe. I mean, I don't see how we could be stupider here in the West if we actually took courses in stupidity and tried as hard as we could. We seem to be doing everything we can to break everything as rapidly as possible. And then I wonder too, has it got to the point where the people who think, that you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs and there's too many people on the planet think that this is some sort of like needle's eye that we have to go through, all this mass starvation and death so that we end up with a sustainable population? I mean, Jesus Christ, that's a dim and grim scenario. But as you said, why would you take the Dutch farmers out of business when they're so unbelievably hyperproductive and efficient? It's not like there's too much food, especially not if we don't have farmers.
If anything, I would be trying to get a large agricultural institute here in Netherlands to teach other farmers how to be as efficient as Dutch farmers are. Replicate these farmers. In Afghanistan, actually, many of the farmers coming over, I was out in the farms quite a lot, were actually Dutch farmers to teach Afghans how to do things better. But the bottom line is, as you can see, there is a huge, I watch you all the time, you know what's happening. There's a huge authoritarian, the desire to have a one world order is clearly strong. And this isn't the first time it's happened. As you know, it's a constant in human behavior. And also, as somebody who studies the human psyche a lot, as you do, you realize pulling these farmers off of their traditional farms unroots them. It cuts their anchor, their boat anchor. They're going to be drifting, culturally, so that makes them much easier to. You can't control farmers well. That's why Stalin wanted to get rid of the farmers. Stalin had to get rid of those farmers because farmers have a mind of their own. Same with Mao. You got to get rid of those farmers because they think for themselves. And likewise here, these Dutch farmers think for themselves. And so they're the bad guys. To me, they're the great guys. These are the people
me
that
too,
have to
man.
defend. That's our
Yeah.
backbone. They are our backbone. That's why I flew to Netherlands from Mexico. I mean, that's how important this is.
Okay, so what have you discovered on the ground there? You've been talking to farmers. Tell us, first of all, tell us about how the protests were organized, what their scope is, and why the farmers are doing this and what they hope to accomplish.
Well, the farmers in Netherlands are amazingly cognizant of what's happening. Many people that I talk with around the world don't realize, these other things like the WEF, WEF, and these sorts of things. But the Dutch farmers are talking about it in detail. They're like, the nitrogen is nonsense, and it's all about Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates is trying to do this, and they'll go into great detail. They know exactly what's happening. They're trying to take our land because of this, and that, and the other. And, they know it. They're not just like in Panama, it's another story. Panama is just like, give us cheap gas, give us cheap cheese, cheap this and cheap that, and we'll go home, right? They're easily satisfied. Not the Dutch farmers. They're more sophisticated. These are serious players here. And again, that's why I jumped on an airplane. If people like this are blocking streets around Netherlands, and we got the German farmers joining up with them they're blocking the border together, German and Dutch farmers, right? Polish farmers. I love Poland. I spent 2 years there. Polish farmers are making videos in support of Dutch farmers. That's how much look, that started in Canada, jumped over to the United States. It's over here now. I mean, it's really growing. This courage is spreading. And so, and you see Italian farmers, Spanish farmers, people are rising up. And the more they realize what's actually happening, because, the man behind the curtain is the WEF, the World Economic Forum. Of course, we're going to have to deal with China. But at this rate, look, if Germany falls from these energy issues, which is looking pretty likely at this point, China is going to peel off the rock too, right? As are we economically, right? So,
well, for sure. Yeah, we cannot sustain the collapse of Germany. That's absolutely 100% obvious. That would be an utter bloody catastrophe.
If Germany collapses, EU's gone, right? For a while, right? And I mean, the EU will probably dissolve. That's my guess. I don't know. We'll see when time unfolds. But obviously, that'll take our economies with it, and China, right? And Japan. And of course, Japan imports, 60, 70%? All these island nations and island state like Hawaii that import, 90% of their food imported, right? They are going to be in for a world of hurt.
Sorry for being silent. I'm just sitting here soaking it all in, just listening. All right. I'm just the fly on the wall right now. So if you're wondering why I haven't been saying anything, it's because I'm listening, I'm learning. All right. So let's jump back into it.
Japan imports most of its food. And, some of these countries that I have to, and I kind of, I should say, maybe insulted the French for a while years ago and saying, why are they defending all these small farmers all the time? Now I see the French wisdom. These small farmers, that resilience and these small, when you go to France and I'm sure you've been to France. And their small farmers everywhere provide a great deal of resilience, right? And that's why in Netherlands, if they lose, these farmers are vital for that. They're as important as their army. I mean, without these farmers, you're somebody else's, you're in somebody else's pocket. Bill Gates, the World Economic.
And we've checked out a Thomas Sowell video touching on this sort of thing, how, the supposed elites have an idea of something, and because they're in the position that they're in, they feel like they have to impose it upon us because we don't know any better. And more often than not, it's the absolute wrong decision. And of course, we see it playing out all around us. Now, of course, these elites, they don't get to feel it. They're above it. They don't get to see and feel what's going on. That's why you have folks like Pete Buttigieg talking about, just buy an electric car. With what money? With what money, Pete? as if an electric car is just like falling out of the sky every 2 seconds and we just get to walk down the street and pick one. They're so far off from reality. Man, it's just absolutely crazy. And I forgot the politician that was bragging about, having an electric car and how wonderful it is. Once again, as if we could all just walk onto a car lot and just purchase one whenever we wanted to. You know, with gas prices going up still, with the price of everything having gone up, we could just still all afford to just go buy electric cars. Let alone, we didn't even touch about if the grid could actually handle that. I mean, we already saw the grid pretty much fail in Cali already. So, like, we're also supposed to just feel confident enough to go buy electric cars, even if we had the money? One, it wouldn't work, and two, it doesn't even make any sense. And three, we don't have the money. So, which, I mean, I guess they wouldn't care if we walked anyway. It'd be better for the planet. Sheesh Louise, these folks, man, are just, wow. But it also is good to see and refreshing to see, you know, a lot of these different places around the world band together and say, no, we are done. You know, Italy with their prime minister, no, we're done. It's refreshing to see. And just all of these other things like they were just speaking about crop up all over the place and people just saying no. But of course, y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love, family. I'm out.